Welcome, viewers, to A Football's Destiny presented by Fortune Sports.
We'll rock with it. We'll run with it. Keep going.
John and Hunter here with me on the broadcast today. My name is Christian Powers. I am here for your AFC North coverage.
AFC North.
Yeah. Come on, dude. We were so close. No, just kidding. No, just play.
AFC North.
All right, guys. Welcome back. We have our special guest here today. That's why I sit him right in the middle right here. And we're talking about his favorite division, which is the AFC North.
But we will be talking about his team last.
Yep.
Fair enough.
Because they were, well,
just
second
kidding.
to last, because the
Second to
Bengals
last.
were last in the
This
division
is gonna
last
be
year.
their first year to finish last in the division, the Steelers.
Yeah,
But before we get to the AFC North around the league, some things that are happening. We talked about this guy. He doesn't have a spot on our roster. Safety Justin Simmons got to work out with the Saints. I think it's a good fit. Anybody that wants to sign him, I don't understand why he's not on a roster. So.
Facts. He was ranked, what'd you say, 48th earlier
like
in the NFL Top 100 list, and he doesn't have a team.
The only one on the top 100 that without a team.
That's crazy. And also he's having that workout with New Orleans, who has Tyrann Mathieu at free safety, an aging Tyrann Mathieu, I must say. But he's still good
Does he
enough
play
out
free
there.
safety or is he that corner?
Nah, Tyrann's usually like free safety, maybe a slot corner, but I would say spends most of his time as safety. But they also have 2023 fifth rounder Jordan Howden. Oh, I almost fucked that up. As the current penciled in starter. So
Not even a hard one.
I briefly glanced at it. So I was about to say Howard. So if you had Tyrann Mathieu and Justin Simmons as your two starting safeties in the NFL, doesn't get much better than that.
Nope, even an aging Tyrann Mathieu, he's continued to be the honey badger.
Yep, he's been dominating for years now, so the Saints could definitely use some help with Justin Simmons right next to him in the backfield.
Yes, sir. All right, let's talk about this. I just saw this news. The Tennessee Titans placed an offensive lineman, Sadiq Charles, on the retired list. He's only 25 years old. We've seen a lot of that this offseason so far, preseason, mixture, whatever you want to call it. He was projected to be starting right guard for the Tennessee Titans this year, and then he just decided to call it quits. He spent for the last 4 seasons with the Washington Commanders. This is going to be his 5th season, first with the Tennessee Titans. He was a 4th-round pick in 2020.
Injury related?
Nope.
Nothing. Just done?
Kind of like last week, Rashad Penny.
Yeah.
Just like one day, the thing about Rashad Penny too is crazy because like 3 days before that, he was like, I think I'm one of the best running backs in the league when I'm healthy. And then all of a sudden, 3 days went by and he's like, yeah, let's call it quits. I don't want to play football anymore.
Yeah,
so,
that's crazy.
So yeah, a lot of young guys retiring early, but good for them. Enjoy your retirement, Mr. Sadiq Charles.
This next thing we've talked about damn near every week since we
Literally.
started back, but Brandon Ayuk was officially given permission to seek a trade, and convenient that we got this guy sitting here because it does look like he is on his way to the Steelers.
Yep, we might be able to pick him up. I know a couple other teams are looking for him, like the Patriots. They've failed to negotiate and come to a conclusion to get him or not, but hopefully the Steelers can land him. That'd be a really nice fit we don't have a ton of really good wide receivers, but that'd be awesome to add him.
Yeah, we got George Pickens as your wide receiver 1, obviously, this season. And we got a rookie, Roman Wilson, that we'll talk about a little bit later. So you slide Brandon Ayuk into that wide receiver 2 position. Good things could happen in Pittsburgh. It's just who's going to throw him the ball.
Stop. If Brandon Ayuk goes to Pittsburgh, he's wide receiver 1.
Wrong. George Pickens is wide receiver 1.
I promise you, if he ends up a Steeler, he ends up with more yards, more touchdowns, more receptions than George Pickens does.
Clip this shit. Hot take.
Another clip thing. Not Christian Ayuk. Wow.
Close enough.
Christian McCaffrey slipped up and did call Ayuk his former teammate.
Yeah, in an interview yesterday.
Maybe John can clip that together.
As of Wednesday the 7th. So yesterday, Tuesday.
But
crazy stuff. There was a report that leaked that said, although there's no official trade done, that there is like a verbal agreement of the 49ers and Steelers getting Brandon Ayuk, but as of 12:22 in the afternoon, it hasn't happened yet. So we'll keep you posted on that one. All right, we'll save the Steelers for you. So since I'm wearing this Lamar Jackson jersey,
No worries.
I'll take the Ravens.
Yeah, you got it.
They only got 2 major signings this offseason, which starts with the
One's
biggest
huge.
elephant in the room. Running back Derrick Henry coming over from the Tennessee Titans on a 2-year, $12 million deal. For a team that runs the ball as much as the Ravens do, this is like literally their blockbuster signing of the year.
For real.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the best running backs in the league. Like,
Whether
There's-
he's
there's
30 years old or not.
There's Christian McCaffrey, and then there's like a group of 4 that I would consider, and Derrick Henry is in that group
In
of
that
4.
one.
he's a beast. Any team would want him. So, as a Ravens fan, like, you can't be more excited than to see
And-
Derrick Henry in your backfield.
Literally.
The Ravens have always run the ball well, no matter who's been in their backfield.
So now they
Like-
have like a star running
And now
back.
that they have literally a superstar, this guy runs people over. This guy runs past people and then runs people over. Like, he's fucking huge and he's fast as fuck.
Obviously, when we talk about running backs, when you get to the age of 30, usually you see like a steep decline, which Derrick Henry is 30 this year. But Derrick Henry isn't just any typical running back, you know? Like, I don't see him slowing down in the slightest.
He's taking care of himself. He has had a couple injury issues, but nothing that's
Nothing
been
for a running back.
yeah.
Pretty
30-year-old
healthy,
running
yeah.
back.
Pretty healthy, all things
So-
considered. So
The other signing they had was safety Eddie Jackson from the Chicago Bears.
it's on like a prove it deal. It's
Yeah.
a 1-year deal, but it's like prove to me that you're worth more money. So the biggest thing is who they lost in free agency. This is huge.
This guy liked this one.
Yep. Linebacker Patrick Queen staying in the division, going over to the Pittsburgh Steelers on a 3-year, $41 million deal. Then you also got defensive end Jadeveon Clowney going to the Carolina Panthers. He kind of rejuvenated his career after getting drafted super high overall, not really living up to expectations, and now he's doing all right for himself. Safety Geno Stone going in the division as well, but this time to the Cincinnati Bengals on a 2-year, $14 million deal. You got guard John Simpson, who was a starter last year, and he's going to the New York Jets on a 2-year, $12 million deal.
Him and Morgan Moses, obviously that was a trade, but 2 big pieces again.
Yeah, come on.
We're like 8 people deep in our rotation, and that's what we need to be able to protect Aaron this year.
Facts. And also guard Kevin Zeitler going over to Detroit on a 1-year deal. And then Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins did not have room in the backfield anymore with Derrick Henry coming over. So they're both going to go over to the L.A. Chargers.
Yep. So expect a big load coming for Derrick Henry.
Facts. You also had rookie last year, Keaton Mitchell. He got injured towards ACL, Achilles, some sort of major injury like that late into the year. But he was explosive when he did play for the Ravens last year. So obviously he'll come in and spell Derrick Henry every once in a while. But like you said, huge workload for Derrick Henry coming up.
For sure.
You can talk about the trade real quick, Hunter, even though we touched on it a couple times now.
Yeah, obviously Morgan Moses to the Jets, it was for like a 5th-round pick or something. Back to the Jets, actually. He was former Jet.
Raven Jet.
So,
Happens a lot.
again,
The grass isn't always greener, you know?
shoring up that, not in Baltimore. But yeah, shoring up that offensive line is key for us this season. Obviously, have to keep Aaron healthy,
That's what
upright.
it's all about.
0 sacks all year.
So the reason I brought up that all these free agents that ended up leaving the Baltimore Ravens is because there's some huge pieces on their defense. Patrick Queen was their second leading tackler, only behind Roquan Smith. Geno Stone was second in the NFL in INTs, behind none other than Deron Bland. And Jadeveon Clowney is coming off a career high 9.5 sacks. So that's 3 huge pieces in all different facets of your defense that are huge, and now they do not have. But despite this, they should be the favorites in the AFC again.
I think that what that should have said is should they be, not they should be.
No, they should. Still.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think they'll win the division. I think the Bengals won't be far behind.
I agree. Those two are 1A, 1B to me, but
But we'll get to our predictions here.
Yeah, the
little
Bengals
bit.
kind of slipped a little far behind last season because they didn't have Joe Burrow, their central piece that leads them in the battle. So without him, just like you were saying, I think the Ravens are gonna finish this at the top, this division, and then the Bengals won't be far behind them, and it might be a battle for 3rd place between the Browns and the Steelers. It'll be interesting to see.
hey, so last season, we'll get to our regular predictions, but I just want to bring this up real quick. last season, all 4 of these teams finished above 500, even without a healthy Joe Burrow, even with Kenny Pickett in the carousel that is the Pittsburgh Steelers all the time. And then obviously both the Ravens and Browns. You had even the Browns, Joe Flacco coming in, and leading that team to a playoff game, Crazy stuff. So all these teams are set up for success and to be able to make the playoffs. It's just a matter of who's going to do it.
Yep.
Hunter, take her away.
So the Cleveland Browns made a couple key signings in free agency, signed linebacker Zadarius Smith on
an extension.
An extension on a 2-year, $23 million deal, and linebacker Jordan Hicks from the Vikings on a 2-year, $8 million deal to back up none other than Deshaun Watson this season. Jameis Winston.
Well, I was like, where is he going with this? Yeah. Hey.
That's W. Good backup. Obviously, not a bona fide starter in the league anymore. So.
Nope. I don't think he ever was. He just had that one season where he decided to throw 30 touchdowns and 30 picks.
Yeah. I thought it was like 50-50 on God. They did lose quarterback Joe Flacco that John mentioned to the Indianapolis Colts. He'll be backing up Anthony Richardson.
The fact that he's even still in the NFL after being out for a couple of years, coming back, leading the Browns to a playoff game, and now he gets to play backup again, he'll take the extra couple million to his payroll.
Yeah. Kareem Hunt is still a free agent, so they haven't re-signed him. No team has.
I don't know if they ever will.
Yeah.
It would be like a mid-season injury signing somewhere.
Yeah, it's something if they need something for the playoffs. And defensive tackle Jordan Elliott left for the reigning NFC champion San Francisco 49ers.
Yep. I mean, biggest addition is wide receiver Jerry Jeudy going to the Browns. I mean, the sky's the limit for him. He's quick. He runs great routes. Has great hands. If they're able to find him open often, I think the Browns could even finish second if they, do things how they want to do them, are able to execute on offense. They've got a decent defense. They're going to be a good team next year.
This is another team that's been in the trade talks for Brandon Ayuk. Amari Cooper and a second rounder was the initial offer, and I think that the Niners didn't want that, but I think that they still...
I would rather have Amari Cooper than Brandon Ayuk, even at this stage in their careers.
And I think the 49ers see the value there, but they just
can't pull
want Amari and a first rounder.
Yeah, or something crazy like that, for sure. Also, another trade, as Christian touched on, the Jerry Jeudy trade from Denver. They traded away Leroy Watson the fourth to Tennessee for a 7th-round pick. We'll get to this, but the Tennessee Titans, I feel like we talk about them every single episode about gaining somebody.
They went out and were just like, we want someone from every team.
Yeah, you get a bag and you get a bag.
We want a little piece of everyone's puzzle.
Yeah, literally. It was kind of crazy.
The Tennessee Titans could be one of those teams that could be sneaky this year. You have no idea how Will Levis is going to perform whatsoever.
But yeah, you still have D-Hop over there. You have Calvin Ridley.
Tony Pollard is your running back. It's not that he's bad.
No, they traded for L'Jarius Sneed. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm sleeping on the Titans a little bit. The more that we talk about them, I'm like, oh, shit. But, all right, let's talk about the Browns, though, because we'll get to the AFC North in AFC South in a couple weeks. We're talking about the AFC North right now. Anyways, I compare this Browns team to the Dolphins, where the defense is great, and then in Miami, the offensive playmakers is great. They have all the tools to be successful, but the offense falls on the shoulders of the quarterback because time in and time out. And then that's Deshaun Watson. He has not performed to the standard that the Browns were hoping to when they signed him to the record-breaking contract that they did a few years ago, even amidst all the controversy that he had with the massage parlors. We won't get into that, I promise.
Him and Robert Kraft.
Yeah. Hey, stop it. Tom Brady will come for your ass. Anyways, if Deshaun Watson does not start producing, this trade and contract could be the worst of all time.
Well, I think Russell Wilson one was the worst of all time, but
I don't know, dude. I mean,
this is more money, but the Broncos are
let's ride.
The Broncos are paying Russ to play for the Steelers this year.
Yeah, true that. Not a bad take. Also, Nick Chubb, week 2 last year against the Steelers, got his knee absolutely obliterated. He tore his ACL, his MCL, and meniscus.
They gave him a new knee.
If he can, this is not the first time this has happened either. Same thing happened to him in college. Can he return to all-pro form? That's another thing that's going to be a big question mark if you're a Browns fan and if they want to compete for a championship.
Not that Kareem Hunt is who he was when he was on the Chiefs or even on the Browns a couple years ago, but signing someone like him who is comfortable sharing snaps with Nick Chubb, I don't know.
I mean, Nick Chubb had an amazing year the year prior to his injury. He absolutely dominated, was breaking tackles left and right, led the Browns to not being such a horrible team anymore. They've been horrible for years, but you put Amari Cooper, Deshaun Watson, and Nick Chubb together, they can finish above 500 any season just alone with those big puzzle pieces. But for real, like you're saying, that'll be a big test this next year. Do we ride the Nick Chubb train any longer? If he doesn't do so well, they gotta think about looking else. And last, and certainly not least in the division, this team has never ever finished last in the division. The Steelers, the Pittsburgh Steelers. We're gonna talk about them for a little bit, and big changes came this year for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Of course, everyone knows about our new quarterbacks. We just received Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. Russell coming over from the Broncos. Didn't have a tremendous year over there. They didn't want to keep paying him what they're paying him, so they sent him to us. Coach Mike Tomlin said, I think we're gonna start Russell Wilson at quarterback and just see how that goes. Of course, we've got another starting quarterback as our backup, Justin Fields, who made a Pro Bowl I think one year, and has shown great signs of agility, being able to scramble. He's an elite quarterback, not super elite, but good enough to be a starter for the Bears. So. We'll see how this season goes for Russell Wilson and Justin Fields in the backfield. We'll see if they run a little wildcat, maybe let Justin run the ball a little bit.
I was just thinking, because I got college football on the mind, from how we've been playing the game like nonstop. You could have Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. You can do a read option type thing, and if you do hand it off to Justin Fields, he could still throw the ball.
Exactly.
As long as the handoff is behind, yeah.
I'm almost positive, knowing how the Steelers run their offense, 2-point conversions, if we go for any, you'll probably see Justin Fields and Russell Wilson in the backfield, and a little trickery, like you said, maybe a fake handoff, maybe a handoff pop pass. The sky's the limit for these two quarterbacks, and it'll be interesting to see what our offense coordinator decides to do with both these quarterbacks. But that's the biggest thing for the Steelers. If they can get a quarterback to help lead them, they will definitely make the playoffs. But it's a totally new look. They're rebuilding, right? The Steelers, they just got these two new quarterbacks. They're going to see how it goes, and it's always tough when you got a brand new quarterback in your backfield. So we'll see how that pans out.
All right. Let's talk about the Steelers signing free agency. We just talked about Patrick Queen coming over from Baltimore. And then they also got safety Deshaun Elliott from Miami, who's going to be their starting safety this year. QB Russell Wilson coming over from Denver, who's getting paid to play for the Steelers by the Denver Broncos. And then wide receiver Van Jefferson from Atlanta. He is the wide receiver 2 currently on the depth chart. So that's also why they need Brandon Ayuk. Yeah. They also lost QB Mitch Trubisky and QB Mason Rudolph. Obviously, when you revamp your quarterback room like you did, some guys got to go. So they went to Buffalo and Tennessee. And also, wide receiver Allen Robinson went to the New York Giants on a 1-year deal.
He didn't really do anything while he was in Pittsburgh, so.
So this is crazy to me. So we talked about Justin Fields getting traded over from Chicago. For a 2025 6th-round pick, that could become a 4th depending on playing time. If Russ actually is hurt, do you think, even though he's said to be the starter, I could see it becoming a 4th pretty quickly. But they also traded away their quarterback from last season, Kenny Pickett, to Philadelphia and they got a 4th-round pick out of it in exchange for a 3rd and pair of 7th-round picks. You're telling me Kenny Pickett is worth more trade value than Justin Fields?
I think that
I'd rather have Justin Fields as my backup than Kenny Pickett for sure.
Literally, but the Eagles gave up more for Kenny Pickett than the Steelers did getting Justin Fields.
Yeah, I know, that's crazy. We got Justin Fields for a bag of chips.
The Chicago Bears were ready to move on. They have their guy now.
Respectfully. Again, I've talked about this a little bit, but if the Bears did not have the number 1 pick, I think they rock with Justin Fields still, and they take Marvin Harrison at 2, 3, 4, wherever that ended up being.
Yeah.
But because they had the number 1 pick, they're like, we can't pass up. We'll be the laughing stock of the league for centuries if we pass up on Caleb Williams and he becomes the man. So
Right.
it's an unfortunate situation if you're Justin Fields or a fan of his like I am.
Yep.
But
Let's talk a little bit about what we expect to see coming out of the Pittsburgh Steelers offense this next season. So we need someone to protect our quarterbacks, right? 1st round draft pick, we got this great Samoan dude, huge Samoan guy, forget his name. It's a tough name to say, but he's going to be a tackle, and he proved himself to be really good.
Oh.
Troy
Fautanu
out of Washington. You know, he was blocking for Penix Jr. and he just did a really good job. You watch his highlights. He's going to be a good piece of the puzzle. Also, 2nd round we got a center. You know, we got a new center. Our old center retired. So you know we got the pieces that we needed in the draft. We got more offensive linemen to protect our quarterback, and then in the 3rd round, we got some steals. We got Roman Wilson, wide receiver from Michigan. Mind you, the Michigan Wolverines won the national championship this last year, and Roman Wilson was a good part of that offense. You know, he was able to rack up tons of yards. A lot of people are thinking that Roman Wilson could have a breakthrough rookie season for the Pittsburgh Steelers because they don't have a super well-established wide receiver group right now. Of course, we've got George Pickens, who's proven himself to have some of the best hands in the league. He's got over 1,000 rushing yards, back-to-back seasons. We'll see what it looks like for our wide receiver core with him and Roman Wilson leading the pack. We also got a guy named Calvin Austin who ran a super fast 40-yard dash, but he got injured last year and wasn't able to play much at all. So, you know, they're still hoping that he could have a good season for us coming up. But, you know, other than that, we also got a linebacker from North Carolina State, Peyton Wilson, another Wilson.
yeah, hello Wilsons.
Yep, and
Russell Wilson,
he has
Peyton
been looking
Wilson.
so good in practice these past few weeks. He's proven himself that he can stop the run against Najee Harris and Jalen Warren when they play against each other in practice. He's looking really good, so I think we expect to see good things coming out of Peyton Wilson, our 3rd round draft pick this season. So, you know, we're trying to add pieces to the puzzle where we can, and I think the Steelers were graded an A on their draft by ESPN and the NFL. So, you know, it's going to be tough. Our division's tough. We all finished above 500 this last year. We touched on that earlier, but it could be a toss-up between the Browns, the Bengals, the Steelers, you know, even the Ravens if they can't get it going. It's going to be a great smash-mouth division to see these teams play. Oh, and also, mind you, the Steelers don't play an AFC North team until they're week 10.
God damn.
Yeah,
They play all 6 of their division games from week 10 to week 18. That's crazy.
Yep. And then they got the Chiefs in like the second last week too. So, you know, it's going to be
That's
tough.
the gauntlet, that's for sure.
Yep.
They really like Wilson, so we got high expectations for Wilsons this year. They didn't like Deontay, so they went with Dante.
Yeah,
Little
DeAndre.
trade with the Carolina
They
Panthers.
didn't like Johnson, they'd rather have Jackson.
Yeah, and not Deontay, Dante.
Yeah. But yeah.
A whole lot of names.
That's so funny.
But I think Christian hit it on the head there. There's a whole lot of pieces that the Steelers have got. All these pieces actually have to fit together and make a puzzle, and hopefully this isn't pieces for 16 different puzzles.
Facts. This team continues to beat the odds literally every single year and become above 500.
17 straight years. Right?
Regardless of what their team looks like, they always end up being in playoff contention.
Mason Rudolph can win them games somehow.
Yeah, literally. But this year, it all goes down to whether Russell Wilson or Justin Fields, whoever's leading that offense, can do this team, and then how well George Pickens can handle their wide receiver 1 duties. Also, something I want to touch on, Najee did not get his 5th-year option picked up. He has voiced his displeasure about that. So is he going to be motivated to get that next contract, or is he going to be lackluster because he's like, oh, this team doesn't want me?
We talked about it a little bit last week. Do you know how Najee has voiced his displeasure?
By not talking to media.
By literally not voicing his opinion. But yeah.
So. Yeah, he has refused to talk to media after every practice. So
that's so funny. I mean, respect. I mean, he's got that option, whether they're going to fine him for it or not. But Roy can do whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, the Steelers, they're sharing handoffs between Jaylen Warren and Najee Harris, and as a running back, you hate to share the ball with anyone. Everyone wants to be the star running back, the number 1 go-to guy, and the Steelers not giving him that 5th-year option really kind of made him think, how valuable am I to this organization that he works so hard every year to help the Steelers win, and they don't want to pick him up on a 5th year.
What that also said, though, is that the team recipe for success is a running back committee, because we've seen outside of the likes of Derrick Henry in recent years.
And Christian McCaffrey.
Yeah, like the workhorse does not work. They end up either getting injured or they get run down to the ground by week 12.
Exactly.
Or by the time they're 27 years old.
Yep, whatever comes first.
Yeah, I think some of the best teams have had a good backfield because they share the ball with more than one running back. Some of the best teams, they have multiple good running backs.
Yeah, that allows the star to shine when the other running backs can take the handoff and get the 1, 2, 3 yard gains that are smashing right into the back of their offensive lineman, And then you give it on the outside to your star, and all of a sudden there's a lot more running room and a lot more holes. So
they talk about getting a second NFL contract is one of the most difficult things, and more for running backs than anyone else.
Facts.
Because by the time they come out of college, 22, 23, 24 years old, and one contract puts them at 28. Nobody wants to give them a 4-year deal because they know by the time they're 32 years old,
they're going to be washed.
They're out of the league.
Yeah, unless you're one of the stars. But that's a case-by-case basis.
Yep.
On to the Cincinnati Bengals.
Let's talk about the team that did finish last in this division, the Cincinnati Bengals.
So they finished 9-8.
Yep.
And the Steelers were 10-7.
Correct.
And they didn't make the playoffs.
The Browns were also,
You guys are 10-7, didn't make the playoffs?
We were
the Steelers did.
We made the playoffs. We lost to the Bills.
Yeah.
The Browns were 11-6, and the Ravens were 13-4 as of last year. Anyways, let's talk about who they signed. Defense tackle Sheldon Rankins coming over from Houston, 2-year, $24 million deal, fat bag. Talked about this, Geno Stone coming over from the Baltimore Ravens, who was second in interceptions. He led the league in interceptions for a long time until Deron Bland decided that he wanted to break records. Anyways, running back Zach Moss, who is the projected starter now for the Cincinnati Bengals, came over from Indianapolis on a 2-year, $8 million deal. And then this is kind of a steal for me, tight end Mike Gesicki coming from New England. He's really good. Ball hawk in Miami. He kind of took a step back in New England because he didn't have anybody to throw him the ball. And now he gets to go play with Joe Burrow. So I expect his production to skyrocket yet again. All right. And then who they lost in free agency, cornerback Chidobe Awuzie, going to the Tennessee Titans.
We're never going to stop. We're never going to stop mentioning them.
Yeah, literally.
Teammate Tyler Boyd also joined him over there. So Will Levis does not have a lack of weapons around him.
That is facts. Also, defensive tackle DJ Reader is going over to Detroit, help out that defensive interior line, and right tackle Jonah Williams went to the Arizona Cardinals, 2 years, $30 million.
Try to protect Kyler.
So the reason that Zach Moss is now the starter for the Cincinnati Bengals is that Joe Mixon got traded to the Houston Texans for a bag of chips. Sorry.
How old is Joe Mixon?
I feel like I can't say that anymore because there's been so many 7th-round picks. Isaiah Pacheco, Brock Purdy, and then way back when, Tom Brady.
Yeah, you never know what you're going to get
in
the
7th round.
But
Joe Mixon.
28-year-old Joe Mixon.
28-year-old Joe Mixon. So decline,
Potentially.
but it's not like they don't have other running backs in Houston either.
Facts. I got Dameon Pierce there, and Devin Singletary is no longer there, but he did a good job carrying the backfield. But Joe Mixon has been one of the better, I would say, top 10 running backs in the league over the past 3 to 4 seasons.
Having a running back like him to mix it up in an air raid offense like the Texans run is so nice because setting up play action and then draws and stuff. So this man could eat.
Facts. No cap. All right, the biggest offseason takeaway for me for the Bengals. With a healthy Joe Burrow, team is dangerous all the time, regardless of who's out on the field with him. The issue is that the Bengals have struggled to keep him healthy. Even in the Super Bowl year, he got sacked 51 times in the regular season and 19 times in the postseason.
Which was the most by any team.
Out of all of them.
It doesn't even make sense that they made
Yeah,
the playoffs in general.
Yeah, they should not have made it.
All of it in the Super Bowl.
Exactly. His rookie year, because of offensive line troubles, he tore his ACL, MCL, PCL, and meniscus all in that same fucking knee. As a quarterback, doesn't matter as much. You know, he was never the explosive runner that you would like to see out of the quarterback position every once in a while. So that doesn't matter. But last year, he had the calf strain to start the year. He was not himself in the first couple weeks. And then he tears a ligament in his hand about week 12-ish, out for the rest of the year. The Bengals have not been able to keep him healthy whatsoever. And the year that he was healthy, they went to the Super Bowl. So that's what it relies on, is the offensive line. And off of these re-signs, loss in free agency, they lost a right tackle. They didn't bring anybody in to replace him. We'll get to that when we talk about their draft picks. But that should be one, protect Joe Burrow. That is what we need to do. And there was plenty of offensive linemen that were out there in free agency. Hunter knows he got 8 of them.
Yeah.
So it surprises me that the Bengals didn't do that. I want to hear what you guys think.
One thing I got to say is, thinking about it with the Bengals going to the Super Bowl that year, obviously they didn't end up winning, but that he pretty much single-handedly stopped a 4-peat from Patrick Mahomes. So you can thank Joe Burrow for that.
Thank you, Joe Burrow.
But yeah, obviously they know that they need to protect him, but they didn't do anything to do it.
Yep.
You can keep going.
Yeah, Joe Burrow is really the heart and soul to this offense and the whole team. Really, with him,
and they
could go to the Super Bowl without him. They could suck.
This is all without saying Jamar Chase's name. Jamar Chase might actually be the best player on this team, but someone has to be throwing him the ball. And without Joe Burrow on the field, they've just proven time and time again that. I mean, obviously they finished last in this division last year.
Yep. At 9-8, which is still a really good, season, at least without Joe Burrow. So it'll be interesting to see what the Bengals can do if they have a healthy Joe Burrow. The loss of Mixon is huge. They're gonna have to find their new go-to running back. But like you said, they got Jamar Chase and Joe Burrow. He has other wide receivers that will help. It's just a matter of keeping Joe Burrow healthy, like you guys said.
Facts.
Yeah, in a smash mouth division, you have to have all of the pieces. You can't rely on your defense solely. Again, their defense kept them in games last year, but again, you put Joe Burrow on how many games did he play? 5, 6. So you have him another 10 games. The Bengals probably finish 12 wins. Steelers are out of the playoffs instead, type of deal.
Let's talk about our record predictions for the AFC North.
Last season, the AFC North ended like this. The Ravens were 13-4.
The Browns were 11-6.
The Steelers were 10-7.
And the Bengals finished in 4th place with a 9-8 record.
This season, I'm going to have the Ravens going 12-5, repeating similar to what they did last year. It's dropping an extra game just because their division maybe got a little bit better. Then the Bengals going 11-6 with a healthy Joe Burrow. They will revive themselves back into the playoffs. The Browns going 10-7, same as last year. And then the Steelers are breaking their 17-year streak. Not by much, though. They're going to go 8-9.
It could happen any season now.
Yeah, it's gonna happen regardless. At some point, you just hope it's not like a
Honestly,
4-13
I thought this
season.
last season that they were gonna not finish above 500, but
They won 10
they
games.
squeaked it out. Yeah.
My AFC North record predictions this year: I have the Ravens winning the division at 12-5, the Bengals coming in second place at 11-6, and both the Steelers and Browns finishing at 9-8. So all 4 teams above 500 again. We'll see.
It's hard not to pick this division to not be good.
Yep.
Just straight up.
Yeah. This division is insanely good. It's crazy. But my prediction for the AFC North, I have the Bengals finishing 12-5, and the Ravens finishing 11-6. Steelers going 9-8 along with the Browns. So, I think the Steelers are gonna, hopefully finish above 500. You never know; they
Just
could
a little
win
bias,
a playoff game, but yeah, I've got to keep it real. I got to be honest. I think the Steelers, they're not.
We've got a tough schedule.
Yeah, they got a tough schedule.
Again, having to play all these teams twice. That's 6 games that could be. Again, you're not going to lose all 6, but like.
Yep.
Hey, but also, 2 out of the 4 losses for the Ravens last year were to the Pittsburgh Steelers. So, respect.
Steelers swept the Ravens last year. Don't forget it.
But then the Steelers lost to the Cardinals and
the
Patriots.
Yeah. Who were both like
Again, that's
2-8.
Hey, you know something about losing to
2-10.
the Patriots.
It's been constant. I haven't seen Aaron Rodgers play the Patriots yet as a Jet.
Respect. All right. This is the part of the show where we talk about the draft picks for every single team going in the order of the division record from last year. But we'll have to brush up on the Steelers because this guy got happy-go-lucky and he's ready for the rookies.
We'll just take that clip and
move it down.
Yeah.
Sorry. But no, we would have stopped you if it was a big deal. We were just letting it ride. You're passionate about it. That's what I like.
In the first round, the Ravens took a cornerback, Nate Wiggins, from Clemson. This last year, Wiggins only allowed 176 yards to receivers in 10 games last season. And only 1 completion over 20 yards. So at 6'1", 175 pounds, absolute bully as a DB.
Yeah, it's actually funny to bring up the 175 pounds thing is because there's only been 2 people drafted in the first round on the defensive side under 175 pounds in the last 20 years.
Okay, Nate Wiggins.
And he's one of them. I wish I could tell you. Somebody that we probably don't remember.
You see...
That's on the defensive side.
We don't have to time out the episode, but do you see that it's about what Xavier Worthy weighs?
Yep.
I saw some videos of him getting
pushed around, yeah. Facts.
Obviously, he can just
Yeah.
zip by most people. But
If somebody tries to hit him super hard and they whiff, all of a sudden he's 20 yards behind you. Yeah. It's game over from there. All right, round 2, pick 62, offensive tackle Roger Rosengarten. Sounds like an offensive lineman name out of Washington. This is going to be Morgan Moses' replacement. He ran the 40-yard dash in 4.92 seconds, which is the fastest speed of any offensive lineman this year's combine and the fastest by any 300-pounder, regardless of division. He allowed no sacks in the past 2 years as a starting right tackle, which is about 1,100 pass block plays. So, especially guarding Michael Penix, obviously Mr. Roger Rosengarten here was a big reason why the Washington Huskies got to go to the college football playoffs.
Yep.
definitely a big hole to fill, Morgan Moses there, but you get a guy that's done it. And
he's fast as hell.
Yeah, he's just got to transition to the NFL, and that can obviously be the hardest, the tempo of play.
Yeah, that was the biggest thing.
When you're this big, that tempo is going to slow you down a little bit.
But like we mentioned, he's got the speed. Hopefully that coordinates the quickness of getting off the line for these defensive linemen rushing at him, especially when you have to play Myles Garrett twice a year, T.J. Watt twice a year.
They did also take a defensive edge rusher that kind of on the opposite side, it's kind of slow as hell for his position.
True.
Like, still faster than the offensive lineman, but like
for his position, slow as hell.
So,
edge rusher, Adissa Isaac out of Penn State. He led Penn State with 7.5 sacks and 16 tackles for loss, which were both more than first-round pick for the Miami Dolphins, Chop Robinson. But you, like Hunter touched on, you wonder why he wasn't drafted higher? It's because he ran a 4.74 in the 40, which ranked towards damn near the exact bottom of edge rushers. The people that he was among or people that didn't get drafted but still got to go to the draft combine.
He does fill a hole for this team in Jadeveon Clowney, but Jadeveon Clowney, I don't know if you remember his college highlight reel. This dude was known for his speed, so obviously fills a hole, but it's like filling a square hole with a circle.
Facts. But obviously the Ravens led the league in sacks last year, so they got some people that know how to rush the passer. Although they won't have Jadeveon Clowney, this guy will mix in with the edge rushers.
The second-round pick from the Browns, they took defensive tackle Michael Hall Jr. from Ohio State.
Didn't have a first-round pick this year because Sean Watson trade.
Which obviously we'll see if that was worth it in the end.
Yep.
This is the depth pick, as Cleveland has experienced defensive front, but multiple starters are over the age of 30, so
Facts.
we will start to see that decline. So nice to go get a guy in the draft, probably 22, 23 years old.
And then round 3, pick 85, guard Zach Zinter, which I just liked his name, which is why I put him in here, because it's another depth pick for
ZZ.
Yeah, for the Browns. He also did not commit a single penalty for the national champion winning Michigan last year.
How long do you think that national championship stands?
I mean, I think it'll always be in the record books.
No,
but
it won't.
No, dude.
They're going to wipe that shit.
I understand.
They're going to vacate wins.
Who are they? So they're going to be like, actually, who did they even beat?
Washington Huskies.
So
No.
Oh, Washington beat them the year before. No, there was the national championship against Washington. Yeah. So they're just going to say Washington won?
No, there just won't be a winner.
That is bullshit.
That's what they did with what's his name's Heisman.
Why are they going to do
And obviously he's getting it back now, but that's what happened with Reggie Bush's Heisman.
They don't
There
just
wasn't
they
the
don't just
second
take
person.
away the Houston Astros World Series win.
They didn't. That's the MLB.
And the Patriots.
It's still the same shit.
The Patriots Deflategate.
Yeah, they just take away their Super Bowl.
I bet you if wins get vacated,
I do agree with
all
you.
of those wins never got vacated. For the Reggie Bush thing, wins got vacated.
So I do agree with you for the sole fact of college is a little different. They have like an
Their
integrity
governing
to
board.
like
Yeah.
hold like so I can understand.
Well,
that.
like 2 years it holds
Yeah.
until this goes to the Supreme Court.
Yeah. All right, we'll brush on these guys again just a little bit for the Steelers. Round 1, pick 20, Troy Fautanu, Washington. Starting left tackle this season, which he was left tackle for Washington, where right tackle for Washington went over to the Ravens. So both these guys are going to get to play against each other within the division. And they're going to pair him with Broderick Jones on the right side. That was last year's first-round pick for you guys, and he started 11 games as a rookie. Didn't hear bad things about him, but didn't really hear any good things. So I would say he's about a middle-of-the-pack rookie last year, and hope for the best for him.
Yeah, and a week 1 starter and Zach Frazier in the second round as well.
Facts. He was a 4-year starter at West Virginia.
It was Pouncey was your as a center, right?
Yep. Marquise Pouncey recently retired. He was a Pro Bowl
Future
center.
Hall of Famer.
Respect.
Yeah, so we had to go center there. That was a no-brainer. A lot of us thought maybe the first round we'd go center, but we still got a good one out of West Virginia.
Oh yeah, he'll be starting for you right away.
Yep.
This is the third offensive lineman that the Steelers have taken in the first 2 rounds in the last 2 years. So you can definitely tell that's what they're trying to revamp is that offensive line.
Oh yeah.
Honestly, to be completely honest, if they were able to protect Kenny Pickett more, they would have been a much better team.
Oh,
Like Kenny, with what they have around him, he was getting George Pickens the ball when he had the time to
Facts.
actually get the ball out.
Also,
Yeah,
Russell
we saw
Wilson
that.
and
Yes,
Justin
we got
Fields know a thing or two about running away from pressure.
Yeah.
Straight up. So that's the type of style that they're like, if we can't protect him, might as well get the quarterback second run away from him.
Yep.
So they're going to try to do both. They're going to try to revamp the offensive line, make it so they don't have to run. But if they do, they can.
With a guy like this in the division, Justin Fields is the best running quarterback in the division.
You're wild.
He is.
I disagree. Lamar's
We'll
still
see.
better.
So you think
Numbers
Justin
don't lie.
Fields will finish with more rushing yards?
Okay,
than
maybe not this year.
Not
because
this season because
it's not
they could
starting
both
yet.
be. Russ could start 9 games. Justin could start
Per
in a
carry,
full. Oh yeah, absolutely,
per carry.
absolutely.
Respect. All right, and then we talk about wide receiver Roman Wilson. He's going to be the wide receiver 3. Maybe the 2 if they don't trade for Brandon Ayuk, but George Pickens is still number 1. Anyways.
What is your opinion on that?
As a huge George Pickens fan, he's got arguably the best hands in the league, and he's proven himself. He can have over 1,000 receiving yards per year. I think Brandon Ayuk is a little bit better than George Pickens. I do. I just do. You know, he really helped the Niners this last year, but.
And I didn't have to point a gun at his head.
But having said that, you know, the Steelers are all about, you know, loyalty, first come, first serve. They might just, you know, tell Brandon you're wide receiver 2, and we're just going to go from there until you prove yourself.
Let's actually talk about
George
that
has
real quick.
proven himself.
The Steelers, are they going to be willing to give him an extension without him ever playing a down?
Yes.
Brandon Ayuk.
Yes.
Because that's the whole thing, is Brandon Ayuk was literally signed on the dotted line damn near to be a Patriot, but they wouldn't sign him to an extension.
So
He's
Ayuk,
looking for not just a trade. He wants a trade and an extension.
So Brandon Ayuk
on
is
a
actually
massive
the
deal.
one that turned down the Patriots extension. He was not committed to playing in New England for 4 years plus. So, but he can't have
they're not
both.
a contender.
He can't have both. He can either go get paid and play for a team like the Patriots who are rebuilding, or you can take less of a bag and go play for the 49ers or the Steelers or what have you.
The Browns.
Yeah, that's a good one. Or, like I mentioned, Patriots, Commanders, Cardinals,
Titans,
something like that. They can pay him the money, but you're not going to contend for the next 4 years. So pick your poison. You can't have both.
or you have to go somewhere that you're going to be a wide receiver 2.
So to me, the Steelers are the best of both worlds, where you still have the chance to compete and they have the money to pay you. It's just, are they willing to have the money? Or
That was
are they
mostly
willing?
the question.
Yeah.
I was
And
asking
that's
is,
why the Steelers...
without playing a single down, do
Are
you
they
think
good?
that they're willing to extend him?
No, only because they've been in talks with Brandon. I think it's the third time now. The first 2 times, he was asking too much. The demands were too high, and the Steelers decided to look elsewhere.
Yeah.
But now third time around, maybe they can come to an agreement somewhere and negotiate. So it'll be interesting to see.
All right, let's talk about the Bengals draft picks. Round 1, pick 18, offensive tackle Amarius Mims from Georgia. Bengals signed a veteran in Trent Brown this offseason, but Brown has injury history similar to that of Tyron Smith.
Yeah.
So Mims will start sooner than later. I thought this was crazy. According to the NFL Next Gen Stats, his 86.7-inch wingspan is the 10th largest of all tackles since the Combine started measuring that in 2003. The 10th largest.
86.7 divided by 12.
That'll help him deflect some passes, all right.
Dude, bro is ginormous. He can keep his fucking hands out there and he can manhandle.
7'4".
That's a crazy wingspan, bro.
7'3.5".
Yeah.
You imagine?
Like what?
Yeah, dude. I mean, he's a big boy to begin with. Obviously, he's probably
is he
6'8", 300
He's
pounds.
an offensive tackle.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as a
He's gonna
defensive
manhandle
tackle,
those-
he won it, Yeah.
Those
Keep the
edge
defensive
rushers.
lineman way out there.
Yeah, for real.
In the second round, pick 49, defensive tackle, since we're talking about him now, Chris Jenkins out of Michigan. So you bring a piece of national championship
Glory.
guy who knows how to win.
Yep.
Bengals believe that this can be a 3-down lineman. Played both interior and edge at Michigan. Despite only having 8.5 sacks across 3 seasons, this guy could be.
He's more of like a run stuffer for sure. Obviously, averaging 3 sacks a season isn't too crazy, especially at the collegiate level. But when you play in the interior defensive line, your job is to eat up blocks, not necessarily go attack the quarterback. But he'll have a spot on the Bengals team for sure. And then round 3, pick 80, wide receiver Jermaine Burton out of Alabama. He had about 800 yards receiving and 8 touchdowns, which led Alabama's team last year. And then obviously not having Tyler Boyd anymore, the wide receiver 3 position is up for grabs. And might turn into wide receiver 2 next year because T. Higgins is playing on a franchise tag, which he really didn't want to sign, but he is right now. And also Jermaine Burton averaged about 20.5 yards per catch last season. So he's a guy that likes to extend the field and exactly what you need when you're playing alongside Jamar Chase, and when you have Joe Burrow throwing you the
real.
ball.
That's a third-round steal right
Yep.
there. Great wide receiver out of Alabama. Led the team in receiving yards. Like, come on.
Anytime you can get a wide receiver from Alabama, not in the first round, it's a W.
Yeah, expect to hear his name this season.
For sure. All right, we're at our closing segments of this beautiful AFC North episode, and before we talk about it, I want to hear from Mr. Christian Powers about his Pittsburgh Steelers.
So, the Pittsburgh Steelers always finish above 500. I think they're going to finish above 500 this season. We got a new quarterback room, so, we're hoping great things come from that as we struggled to find our go-to quarterback last year, shuffling through our second-string quarterback and even our third-string quarterback, as we're dealing with all these sorts of injuries. So, the Steelers expect to see them finish above 500 as far as I'm concerned. You never know. But, we've got one of the best safeties, Mika Fitzpatrick. We got one of the best edge rushers.
The best.
TJ Watt, the best. So, just throw in a couple more stars like Russell Wilson,
TJ
Justin
and
Fields.
Bosa are better than Micah.
But, yeah, so the Steelers, expect to see good things from them. Don't expect to see them in the Super Bowl, though. But you never know. It's going to be an interesting
Steelers
season.
in the Super Bowl, confirmed.
Hey, maybe Ben Roethlisberger comes back and
Hey, they did start showing highlights for him on the UFC pay-per-view
the most
the other
random
night.
shit in the
that was
world.
so funny. Third down.
I thought he was coming out of retirement. No, honestly, at first I was like, "Oh, Ben Roethlisberger's at that event."
Yeah, I was
All of
like-
a sudden I was like, "What the fuck are they doing?"
That was
And
so funny.
third down miscues.
Yeah.
This man hasn't played since what, 2018,
It's been 3 years. dude.
19?
Oh, yeah, at least, bro. That shit's so funny. But yeah,
I agree with Christian. I think the Steelers do finish above 500, but this is the Ravens division.
it's the
And
Ravens division to lose for sure.
You already talked about the Steelers, so I'll talk about the Ravens, even though he's wearing the jersey. They got to win fucking playoff games. Lamar's got to not choke when it means the most.
Without Lamar's miscues in the AFC Championship game, the Ravens played a better game than the Chiefs in that game.
Yeah.
But Lamar couldn't put it in the end zone for them, and that is what lost them the game.
They went away from what their identity was all season in that game. They were trying to force Lamar to throw. Like, last season, you still had two guys in Edwards and J.K. Dobbins. Their rushing attack was working, and they just completely went away from their game plan. They tried to, hey, surprise, Lamar's going to throw the ball.
Yeah, and obviously, you can maybe do that in week 5 of the NFL. Be like, surprise, we're going to throw the ball a lot
against the fucking Patriots.
Yes, but not in the AFC Championship game against the Chiefs. Especially, you didn't. Yes, Zay Flowers was great as a rookie last year, but they didn't have Mark Andrews. He was injured almost all year.
We talked about this last offseason with them. They still have yet to have a Pro Bowl wide receiver ever in the history of the Ravens. Ever. And obviously getting Odell last season and that kind of being a dud compared to what they thought it was going to be. He was productive in certain games.
Sure.
But it was just one of those things that, again, no Pro Bowl wide receiver for Lamar Jackson to throw to. Going and getting Derrick Henry is fucking huge. Makes it so that Lamar doesn't have to run ever, damn near, other than to get away from people.
Yeah, I think when teams face the Ravens, they're going to be ready for them to run. Whether it's Lamar Jackson around the edge or Derrick Henry up the middle, if you can stop the run game against the Ravens,
Pretty much win. If they had a wide receiver like Brandon Ayuk, that team would be fucking 17-0 because their defense. Again, you lose guys like Patrick Queen, and you're not worried about it because it's the fucking Ravens. They have a stout defense, so they just got to win some playoff games.
All right, now let me talk about Bengals and Browns real quick. Joe Shiesty showing up looking like Eminem to to training camp.
I was bored.
Yeah, literally.
Slim Shady showed up.
So obviously, to me, that tells me he's ready to go. He doesn't care a fuck what he looks like. He's locked in, ready for this football season to happen. You bring back damn near everybody that you did last season. The running game with Chase Brown and Zach Moss is a question mark for sure, especially when you ship out Joe Mixon, who's been your running back for the last 6+ seasons. But the Bengals have always been an air it out type of offense, and with drafting a receiver from Alabama in the 3rd round and having Jamar and T out on the outside, nothing's going to change in that aspect. You go get Mike Gesicki, this is an air raid offense, opposite of what the Ravens are.
Yeah.
Straight up. And then with the Browns, talked about it a little bit earlier, this season just relies on Deshaun Watson. You were a 10, 11 win team without him, basically, the entire season last year. You were starting Dorian Thompson-Robinson at quarterback.
With the draft
And you're winning
capital,
games.
with the draft capital you gave up for him and the money that you paid him, he should elevate your team from 10, 11 wins to 14.
Yep, and you should be the number 1 seed and competing for a Super Bowl, straight up. But that has just not been the case. But if the Browns, if Deshaun Watson comes out and looks like Texans Deshaun Watson at any point throughout this next season, the Browns are fucking scary as hell.
Oh, yeah.
It's just a matter of if. And to me, I don't think that if is ever going to happen. I think whatever, all the off-the-field issues that happen, fucked with his mental for one. You know, obviously that's a lot of shit to be going through. And then it's hurt his on-the-field production, and he hasn't been able to stay healthy. And when he has been healthy, it's been mediocre at best.
So Joe Burrow's locked in. Deshaun Watson
Is
will
not.
never be locked in.
No, I don't think he'll ever be locked in ever again.
Me neither. I don't think he's an amazing quarterback by any
He was.
means.
He used to be.
Yeah. He's just
What he was able to
he's
do in
failed.
Houston with the team that he had around him.
Facts.
Yeah. He's failed to lead a team to playoff wins. You know, it's just.
I mean, they famously were up on the Chiefs 28-0, and then Patrick Mahomes proceeded to come back and curb stomp them
Right.
a couple
They
years
couldn't
ago.
score.
But I think
See,
it was
and
last
that-
year on the Texans.
That does suck, and obviously he put up 28 points, and his defense is the one that let the Chiefs come back. But you can't just put up 28 points in the first half and not score
think,
anything in
yeah,
the second
and
half.
think that's it, especially against someone like Patrick Mahomes. You're like,
Yeah.
yeah, that's good enough, right?
When he can put up 35 points in a quarter.
Literally. All right, I think that's it for us for this AFC North episode. I wanted to give out a special shout out to Christian for joining us on tonight's
Thanks
podcast.
for having me.
We appreciate you.
it. Appreciate you.
And next week we're gonna have potentially multiple special guests when we talk about the NFC North, including the Green Bay Packers, who I absolutely despise as a fan of this team right here. But anyways, we'll get to that when it's next week. Anything else you guys want to say before you head out?
Nope.
Thank you guys for tuning in.
Go Steelers.
Stay safe.
Go Steelers.
Peace out.
I'm just trying to get paid. Call me Odell Beckham, cause I'm always making plays. And alright, designer, bitch, see Gucci, fuck your J's.